Good morning, reflectors.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Friday, June 19th. It is Reflection Friday. We have some interesting news. It's only interesting.
News.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Annette informed me this morning that what I wanted to talk about from yesterday was one day too early.
It was one day too early, and I didn't want to interrupt you at the end of yesterday's podcast because you said, well, now, if you're sucking the joy out of your life, like with the examples that we talked about yesterday, we're going to talk tomorrow about what you're going to do about it. And it's like, well, Ada, actually, that's what we have planned for next week.
Yeah, I got a little excited about everything. I was ready to rock and roll right then and there, and I was hoping we could do that today, but
we have a plan for next week, so let's just give a little preview, and then we'll have our reflection for today.
That sounds good. Would you like to give us that preview?
I would. First, we're going to look at our current lives, what's going on, and what we enjoy in our lives, and we'll get into the details of that. Then we're going to look at more of like the daily structure of our lives. Is there joy? Is there a lot of suffering through, sucking the joy out? Then we're going to look at how do joy and curiosity show up in my life at all? And we want to get specific with that. We're going to look at alignment, and then we're going to move forward. So that's our plan already for next week when we're talking about the art of enjoying life. Today, we're going to reflect on what we've discussed this week. So this week, the highlight for me, normally you start, but could I start?
Of course. You can do the whole reflection.
Okay, so we talked about Mark Manson's book that I am starting to read again because of what we talked about on the podcast. For me, when I'm reflecting on all the different areas that I gave too much of myself, I probably need to rephrase that and reframe that in my mind. And I want to bring this up for all of us that are joining in. When we look back at our life and we see that maybe we were giving a lot of ourselves, our emotional capacity, to certain individuals, certain causes. I was just watching an interview last night right before I went to bed about this woman who had given herself to one political ideology, and now she has changed and she has seen the light in her eyes. She has a lot of regret, but then when we think about the art of not giving an F, we have to be compassionate with ourselves. Like we were all doing the best we could with the tools and the awareness that we had at that moment. So I don't want us to go into shame storms. I don't want us to go into that false guilt if we've given a lot of ourselves to specific people. I mean, some people have been in marriages for years and years, and they weren't happy, and they gave all they could. There's no reason beating ourselves up about things that we did in the past if we're doing better now. We have this unconscious part of us that is so real. And that's why with our clients, we talk about blind spots. What are your blind spots? Let's look at some blind spots, because when they're blind spots, you can't see them. It's much easier for other people, like especially a coach or a counselor or a therapist, to see your blind spots, because if you could see your blind spots, they wouldn't be blind spots. I just wanted to share that when we look at the areas of our life, people, causes, careers, whatever, that we were so involved in or gave so much of ourselves to, if it didn't work out, if we see now that that really wasn't the best thing for us, or maybe it wasn't the best thing for other people, then we move forward. And we say, when we know better, we do better, like Maya Angelou said. And we don't spend much time going over the past. We have a therapist friend who will always say when she works with her clients, she doesn't really even want to hear about their past because she says that people get so caught into the past that it's hard for them to move forward. I would agree. We want to look at the past, learn from the past, but also not get too caught up and bogged down by the past. If we're learning and growing and healing and moving forward, today is what is important.
I'd say that's also true for other people. If someone else has been screwing up, if they're moving forward, they're making amends, they're doing something different, let's all move forward then too.
Not hold things against other people.
If the behavior has changed, let's move forward.
I completely agree, because those identities that we create for others, and then we want that to be molded in cement for the rest of our lives. That's not fair to us because we don't get to see who they really are, and it's definitely not fair to them.
No, because then you're always stuck back at some past moment, and then guess what? You're never going to enjoy life. Whenever I've gone around and around and around, thinking about what has happened in the past, and I'm also going to say whenever I've gone around and around and around, thinking about what could happen in the future, the joy has been sucked out of life, just gone. All we've got is this present moment, and if things are, as my mom would say, moving in the right direction, if you can see the trend line going in the right direction, just rest with that.
And you can trust that, because most of us, when we start doing our healing work, I'm talking really doing our healing work, there's people that kind of play at this, and they play at their personal development, and they do it for a little while, and they're not really invested, and then they go off and they do the same old things. But this community, what I know about this community, especially those of you that I have met in person and we hear from, can I make a plug for whatever you would like us to do in July? We have received, like we said, we've received a number of them, but we would love you to keep sending those. If you haven't yet, please do, to yourcoaches@AnnetteandAda.com. What would you like us to, I'm going to have to say, we probably already know what July is. We had one of our very first emails that we received. We're going to do that one. But we would like to hear what you would like to contribute, us to contribute to your life in a later month in this year. Anyway, I digress. It just seems that those of us that are committed to our personal development, once we start changing the way we're showing up and we let go of those old patterns that maybe have been pervasive in our life for years and years and decades, we don't want to go back to the old way. So when we keep someone stuck in this old identity that we have created for them, we lose out on really knowing them, because if they've really changed, they've really changed. People can change. Ada and I wouldn't be doing what we're doing if we didn't think that people couldn't change or healing couldn't happen.
We've seen it.
When you heal, you don't want to go back to that old way, the pain and living life with no tools. You're exactly right, Ada. We need to be able to look at ourselves and others with fresh eyes. So quickly, do you have a reflection for this Friday?
I'm just going to say ditto to yours. I think that's a great reflection. And that goes with how many F's are we giving? Where's our emotional currency being spent?
And what lights us up? Remember, we talked about what lights us up this week, and I've been thinking about that too.
And I would wish I could tell my younger self this very same thing. Allow yourself to grow. Allow other people to grow. Don't hold you or them to past mistakes as long as things have been rectified and changes have been made. If you're doing better, let better be better. For our intention today and for this weekend, we want to give you a reflection question. What old identities am I ready to let go of for myself and others? What old identities am I ready to let go of, both for myself and for others? Thank you so much for joining us today and this week. Our day is better because you are a part of our day. See you Monday.
See you then.
Something more.